Hello, this is Zamanzadeh from ZZNetworking.com. In order to see better, press this icon to view full screen. Now, in our previous tutorial, I described to you, we created a table con2, and I described to you the constraints for con1. Let's go ahead and execute this code, and that way we'll be able to see the table created. We execute the following code, and we get the table created. Now, suppose you want to go ahead, well, first let's go ahead and describe the table. After you've coded this and executed it, let's go ahead and first describe con1. Now you'll notice that the primary key column is always null. But you'll also notice that the customer name column here, when it says nullable, there's also this dash, meaning you can't null that. Now why is that? Well, if we go back to our code, you'll notice that in con1, we made this column level constraint of not null for the customer name column, meaning you cannot null that column value. There has to be some customer name entered in to that column for this table. Now, let's go ahead and describe con2 now. Now, let's go ahead and see, we see that we have a primary key column. If we go back to our notes, we'll see that we have one constraint. We made that a primary key. Now, in general, we want this column order underscore ID to be the primary key for this table and the foreign key for con2, and reference order underscore ID in the con1 table. Sorry. So this would be the primary key for con2 and the foreign key for con1's order underscore ID. Now, since we already made this order underscore ID in con1, the foreign key for this order underscore ID in con2, how do we now add a foreign key constraint to this table con2? Now that the table's already been created, well, we can do that by using an alter table statement, and that will be mentioned in the following code. Here we go ahead. Please code the following. We say alter table con2, the name of our table. We say add the reserved word constraint. Once we add a reserved word constraint, we have to go ahead and give it a name. Once again, the name can be anything you want, but to give it a meaningful name, we put the name of the table, con2, followed by an underscore, the name of the column, order underscore ID, followed by another underscore and the abbreviation of the foreign key constraint, which is FK. We then have to go ahead and list our constraint, which is foreign key. Then we have to go ahead and put the column. So since the order underscore ID in the table con2 will reference, we have to use the word references, the table con1, and in which column in con1 will it reference? Well, it has the same name, order underscore ID. So that following code is basically saying we want this order underscore ID in con2 to reference this order underscore ID in the table con1. So we go ahead and put con1, it references con1, order underscore ID in that table. Control Enter, and table is sure enough altered. So now we just added a foreign key constraint to our con2 table. Now, suppose we want to go ahead and add, in addition to this, a check constraint. How can we do that? Well, in the following code you'll see. Let's first go ahead and describe con2 so we can view our table. We see it now. Suppose we want to add a check constraint. For this column you see here called promotion, I'm highlighting, we want to make sure, because you notice that the length is 1, we want it to make sure that the value y or n is entered in here. The question is, does our customer get a promotion? Y means yes, N means no. We don't want someone putting in W, A, Z, P, or any other letter, because it will have really no meaning for us. It has to be either Y for yes or N for no. So we want to put this constraint. How do we do it? We say alter table, table name, add constraint, these reserved words. We then go ahead and once again name our constraint, the name of the table, followed by an underscore, the name of the column, followed by an underscore, the name of the type of constraint we're using, CK, which is an abbreviation of check. We list our constraint, which is a check constraint. We open up parentheses and we put the column name that we're intending to use, followed by whatever condition we want. So in this case, the column promotion, the condition we want for it is it has to be in, another reserved word, open up a parentheses, and we want the values to either be Y or N. And since this is a char data type, as you can see down here, we have to put single quotes, and we always have to separate with a comma. So what this is saying is we want to alter the table con2, add a constraint. We're naming our constraint the following. It is a check. We have to specify it's a check constraint. And then in parentheses, we have to list the column name followed by the condition. The column name promotion for the values have to be in, Y, or N. We execute the following code, and sure enough, the table is altered, and that's that. Now, I want you to pay attention. When we added the last two constraints, we used the words add constraint. We then followed it, add constraint. We then followed it by the constraint name. We named it something, and then we followed it by the type of constraint it is, and a condition or a column name and or condition. Now suppose we want to add a not null constraint. Well, just like not null cannot be entered at the table level, it has to be at the column level. You can never have a table level not null constraint. It always has to be done at column level. You also have to do this a little differently. Suppose we want the number ordered column here to be not null. We don't want an order being placed without any values. Certainly if somebody orders something from us, they have to buy at least one item. The number ordered can't be a null value. So we say alter table con2. Instead of saying add constraint, we use the reserved word modify. We open up our parentheses, and this time we go ahead and we put down the name of the column. So the name of the column we're dealing with is num ordered. We put down num ordered, reserved word constraint, followed by the name of our constraint, which is con2 the table name, underscore the num ordered, which is the column name, underscore nn, and then we go ahead and put down not null, which is the constraint we're using. Control Enter, and the table is altered. If we describe con2, sure enough, we'll now see that the number ordered column under nullable section has a hyphen, which means you cannot null that column. You cannot put a null value into that column. Now, we're going to go ahead and deal in the next video with column level constraints. I hope this has been helpful for you. Thank you for your time, and may God bless you.